So our beautiful golden nutty top babwurti, remember, has now been cooked, and I'm going to pop our dessert into the oven. So while we're enjoying our main course, the babwurti is going to fill our tummies, and the Malva pudding will be ready to come out in sauce. So talking about sauce, let me tell you about Malva pudding. Now, is everything named after a lady? There are so many stories that go with the Malva pudding story. Malva apparently is like a marshmallow. Very definitely they say the origin of this pudding is South Africa, so we're taking ownership. I don't care where it comes from, it's ours now. But if you think about Pavlova, she was a ballerina. If you think about all kinds of things, desserts get named after ladies. So apparently there is a story that says Malva was a lady. Well, we don't mind where the story comes from. What we do want you to know is that it's a delicious, original, apparently South African dessert, and once you've made it, trust me, you're going to make it over and over and over again. And it's just a couple of simple steps. There is a sauce and there's a batter, and it's very, very easy. So the one thing I always start with is I read the recipe. Very important to read the recipe, and just, you know, because sometimes you see butter in a recipe twice and you just get totally confused. So always get your ingredients out in front of you, and then break it down into, this is my sauce. You know, I've got some sugar and butter and milk and some cream, so it's got nothing to do with my batter, but I also need butter in the batter, and I'm going to use some milk. So put your batter ingredients one side and your sauce ingredients on the other side, and then we're going to be for away. And as we add the ingredients to the batter, we'll tell you what they are. Okay, so I'm going to start off with melting the butter, which I've already put into my saucepan, and I'm going to just add the milk to that and just lightly warm it. I want it kind of room temperature. We don't want to cook the egg and sugar once we get there. And then the other thing I'm going to add is some vinegar. Vinegar is going to help it to rise, and it's going to add a little bit of acidity, so it's a very important part, okay? But don't use balsamic, although you know what, it's quite a dark pudding. If you really run out of ingredients, you can use a bit of balsamic, but try and use a nice white grape vinegar. Here we go, look at that, the vinegar. You can have a look into the saucepan, you can see the vinegar has already started to coagulate. And we've got, and it's separated the curd from the whey, and it's ready to go into our dessert. Now what I've done is I have already beaten the sugar and the eggs. Very, very important. They must be light and they must be airy, and it needs to, look at that, can you see? Because that's also going to help you to give rise to your dessert. You don't have any baking powder in here, but you have bicarbonate of soda. We call it bicarb. You might know it as cooking soda. So that's also going to obviously help it to rise. And with that vinegar, you're going to have this reaction that's going to happen. So over here, a traditional Malva pudding doesn't really have much spice in it, but I love spicy. So what I like to do is just mix. I've got some ground ginger, love ginger. So in we're going to go with a bit of ginger on top of that and some cardamom. For me, cardamom is just, she is the queen of spices, and I'm the queen of the kitchen. There's a bit of competition happening here. A little bit of salt, because what does salt do? Salt just brings out the flavor of anything. Okay, so a bit of salt is going to go into that. And the bicarb I'm going to use right at the end, and the reason for that is I don't want you to start activating and frothing and foaming at the mouth before I've added the other ingredients, okay? I'm going to add, I want all like the wet things with a little bit of spice in already. That's my apricot jam and some vanilla essence. I'm going to bring the mixer to the bowl and we're going to mix it in, okay? You can use a whisk. Am I lazy? Of course I'm not lazy. I just want things to happen quickly because I'm impatient. So we're going to just give this a whiz, bring it all nicely together, like so. And then we're going to alternate. We're going to just add that little bit of milk with our flour. Flour has been sifted, so let's get that flour in. This can be a little bit messy. Oh, look at that, that's looking really good. And now I'm going to just add a little bit of liquid to that. It's just alternating as you go, so you're not ending up with a glooby, very sticky, floury batter. And then some more flour. And it's important to get the job done quickly, but don't over mix it, okay, because it'll make it tough. I'm now going to add my bicarb. And make sure that you really mix the bicarb in well, because bicarb's got like a funky flavor, very important in a dish, but it's got something that I don't like. There we go. And the last of our milk and vinegar and melted butter mix. Oh, look at that. This is stunning. Okay, so this is ready to go. The important thing now is to make sure that you have sprayed. You can butter it, or you can use a non-stick cooking spray so that it doesn't stick all over. It's got quite a high sugar content. We've got a whole cup of sugar in here with the eggs, okay? So we're going to just pour it in nicely. And this is going to go into the oven on the middle shelf at 180 for about 45 minutes. I normally check, if it says 45 minutes, I'll check it after about 38 minutes. Take a skewer and just poke it into the center to make sure that it's cooked through. If it comes out nice and clean and dry, then it's ready. If it's still a little bit sticky, just stick it back in for another couple of minutes. Okay. So here we have it. Just make sure that you spread it all over. Sometimes you end up with a couple of little air bubbles, which you don't want. Just give it a tap like that, noisy, but it's good. Okay, and now we're going to pop that onto the middle shelf of the oven. Okay. My pudding is smelling like a Malva pudding, and now this is for me. This is like it's not the prettiest kid on the block, I have to say. She looks really, really plain, but don't be deceived, okay? Because beauty is from within. Let's face it. Look at me, darling. So I'm going to make this beautiful sauce, which is going to bring this gorgeous baked sponge pudding together, and it almost becomes lovely and spongy. It has water and it has cream and butter, lovely rich butter, and that gives it that lovely fudginess when it comes together with the sugar. So I'm going to first go in with the water. The water is going to give me the volume, and I'm going to put my butter in to melt it. And then the sugar. Sugar is going to form this lovely syrup. Here we go in with the sugar. You can use caster sugar, you can use brown sugar if you want to. And then just give it a little stir. We want the sugar needs to dissolve, okay? So we need this to start dissolving. And then I'm going to add the cream. So you've got the cream and you've got the butter, and it's like caramel in your mouth. It's delicious. So in that goes, I've got this lovely, oh, look at that. And there are a couple of ways that you could actually serve this dessert. You could have it with, it is, as I say, very, very sweet. So you could use mascarpone, a cheese, big, dollops of mascarpone on it. I like it with custard. I like it to swim in custard, and sometimes I even like to swim it in cream and custard. A lot of people have it with vanilla ice cream. I just find that a little bit too sweet. So while this is cooking, what I want to happen here is the chemistry that brings everything together. It brings your sugar together with the cream and the water and the butter. I'll bring it to the boil, and the minute it starts boiling, I'm going to switch it off because I don't want fudgy toffee. It'll be nice to sort of eat out of the pot, but what we're looking for here is a nice runny sauce that we can throw over our pudding. And speaking of the pudding, while this is cooking, I'm going to check the oven because it is telling me it's time to come out. That is smelling absolutely delicious, and it's time to finish it off. Here we go. We're going to go straight onto here. Just put it onto a nice wooden board so you don't crack anything. Okay, what I want to do here, while the dessert is, well, the pudding is nice and hot, and the sponge is because when you put this gorgeous custard, not this is sauce. Have a look in my pot. Just have a look at how that is starting to become lovely and volcanic. I love it. The minute that is ready, without it boiling over, I'm going to then pour it onto my hot pudding. And when it's hot, it just receives so much better. So let's just have a look at that. We're going to take that off and turn the heat right down and just bring it back. It's starting to smell fudgy. And when it has that sort of fudgy smell, this is the time for you to stop and switch the heat off and pour it, because you have a look here, you can actually see the butter's incorporated, the cream is all cooked beautifully together, so it's ready to go. So just make lots and lots of holes. It doesn't matter if it looks ugly, because we're going to cover this baby with lots and lots of custard. What are you going to put on yours? Custard, cream, mascarpone. You might even want to put ice cream on yours. There we go, have a look at that. The more holes, the better. Because if you actually have a look, this is quite crusty. It's soft on the inside, and what happens is it just soaks up and sucks up all this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sauce. Look at that. Look at that. And just do it nice and evenly all over so that it's evenly distributed. You want the whole thing. Look at that. And then give it a half a moment. You know, don't be impatient. Give it a chance to sink in. There we go. Isn't that looking gorgeous? And you'll turn your back, and all of a sudden it's like all sucked up. Now this looks like this poor dessert, but have a look here. Can you see the bubbles? These are like little sinkholes, and I just keep going. If you have a look at the surface, it's starting to suck it down beautifully. Now normally I make this in the morning before I'm having a dinner party, and I just let it sit in the jack corner until it's time I want to use it. It's beautiful served at room temperature. It's lovely in the sort of heart of winter, served nice and hot, so you can always just pop it. Mike, have you heard of Mike? Mike is my kitchen helper. My friend Geordie taught me about Mike. Mike's not a man. Mike is the microwave, so you can nuke it and just warm it up, okay? So there we go. We're just going to give it a moment and let it just suck it all up. Oh, this is just looking so good. And then just cover it and pop it aside until you're ready to do it. Sometimes you can even make this a day before your party. Cover it and stick it into the fridge and let Mike do the rest of the work. Okay, so this baby is moist and delicious, and this, always love the crowning glory, and I'm going to just let this swim in gorgeous custard. So here we go. We're going to just custard this all over. Am I being greedy? Is that too much custard? And what I like is, I must say, I really enjoy a little bit of texture. So we had some of these flaked almonds left from our babwurti, which I'm going to just throw over the top. You don't have to, you could have it just plain like that, but I seriously love nuts. And then I thought, well, why not just indulge ourselves and have a little bit of some fresh mint onto that, and any edible flour, and I mean edible flour, don't go putting oleander or something that is poisonous onto that. And there we have it. Simple, beautiful Malva pudding, all the way from South Africa.